This One's Wife. At it again. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. This One's Wife has ended up on the cover of a magazine. Yes, Us Weekly. And you have been treated, and I use that word in the most elastic of senses, to her giving her supposedly smouldering look over her shoulder. But what does it have to tell us? Because there's a feature on her also. What major revelations are we going to learn about the Duchess of Delusion? What insider information is going to be provided about the Duchess of Industrial Beige? Well, apparently it tells us that she made quite a splash at her very first Paris Fashion Week appearance in early October. Well, she certainly ended up with a lot of criticism, with Kristin Scott Thomas ignoring her, people criticising her for laughing at her model stumbling on the runway, criticising her for her feet on the seats, criticising her for her Derek Zoolander poses. Yeah, made a splash, but perhaps not in the way that she would like. It talks about that she was there, and apparently she was excited for her Paris Fashion Week debut. She was looking forward to the moment. It's a big statement about where she's headed. The suit's alum, which of course is habitually stapled to her name, has been steadily embracing the spotlight more and more in recent months. I'll say so. Only in the last couple of weeks, it seems like she's an ever-present across social media and the mainstream media. Off the top of my head, we saw her in Paris. We saw her in Washington, D.C. at the Women in Power. She turned up on social media as a consequence of having a shit-on-the-table dinner. She was in New York at the Healthy Minds. She has appeared at the Pumpkin Patch performance. We have had another shitty as ever drop publicised by her. She turned up at the baseball. Barely a day goes by without the gurning visage of This One's Wife appearing in some form of magazine or video. Apparently, she's now clearly looking to enter the world of high fashion. Piccioli, the new creative director at Balenciaga, revealed in an interview with The Cut that he and This One's Wife stayed in touch after meeting several years ago, and that she reached out to him about attending his first show with Balenciaga, which actually, of course, made her look rather foolish because it demonstrated that she was the one pestering to attend. Over on the girl boss front, she spoke at Fortune's Most Powerful Women Summit, yada, 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 attended dinner party, yada, yada, yada. Apparently, This One's Wife didn't want just to stay put in Monty's shit show, and now has more time to do other things, says another insider. Really? Of course she's got loads of time. She doesn't have a proper job. She doesn't bother with her children. She's got acres of space to do things. Apparently she wants to get out there, reach out to people and work on her relationships. According to insiders and industry experts, This One's Wife is now deliberately repositioning herself as a power player. Actually, let's go through that again. This One's Wife is now deliberately repositioning herself as a power player, separate from her husband, Prince Harry. Doing that again. She's done this before, and it didn't work. But as you know, as a consequence of her narcissism, she's at it again because, well, her narcissism doesn't tap her on the shoulder and say, you know you've done this before and it didn't work. She doesn't learn. Because remember, in her deluded world, in her distorted mind, everything is a success, and where it isn't, well, that's not down to her. She's rebranding as a one-woman show. This is laughable. In essence, there is no rebrand. She's always been a one-woman show because it's always about This One's Wife. However, what she fails to recognise is the irony of stating, I'm a one-woman show, when the actual fact is, throughout her life, she has only ever got places because of other people, notably men. Her father, who paid for her education, her father, who got her opportunities because of his contacts as a lighting director. as a consequence of her involvement with Trevor Engelson and his operations within the TV and film world, as a consequence of Corey Vitielli, who she hijacked to enter the Toronto social scene and also the foodie scene, and the biggest of all, the old Prince of Pink Pancakes. So while she likes to think of herself as rebranding as a one-woman show, she has always been a one-woman show in the sense of selfishness, but in terms of effectiveness, she's never been a one-woman show because she's been wholly reliant upon other people. Nevertheless, Jane Owen, a public relations expert, tells us this is the first time we're seeing This One's Wife as an individual brand again. PR expert Mark Bukowski adds, it's a shift toward individuality. This One's Wife is no longer half of a royal duo. She's re-emerging as a solo brand, global, aspirational, and strategically aloof. The royal chapter was about proximity to power. This one's about reclaiming it. Well, if that's what she's attempting to do, it's going to fail. Because, and not to put too blunt a point on it, put too fine a point on it, just get my teeth back in there, she's useless. Everything that she does, she's useless. She has never succeeded at anything other than putting her ankles behind her ears and ensnaring men. You only have to look at the litany of failures associated with her. I'm not going to repeat them. You're all familiar with what they are. And accordingly, the only reason why people know about her is because of the man that she married. And to suggest that she's a solo brand is laughable. Global, well, yes, she is known around the world because of the man that she married. Aspirational, well, she certainly aspires to be many things and falls short repeatedly. Strategically aloof? No, she's just aloof as a consequence of the fact that she's a haughty narcissist. Apparently, it could be mutually beneficial for them, that it's healthy for them as a couple to have separate spheres, identities and passion projects, says the first insider, noting that the negative attention This One's Wife receives in the press hasn't been helpful for Harry's work. Aside from a few joint projects, they will be very professionally divided now, adds the insider. It's what they've been doing all year. Really? They've been professionally divided all year? Is that why they did the Healthy Minds thing together just recently? Harry has no issue letting This One's Wife take centre stage. Well, that's because he doesn't have a choice in it. He's told that's how it's going to be. Apparently, he seems happier doing the quieter, cause-driven work. Well, yes, he's not really bothered about being a celebrity. Apparently, they're still a team, but they're playing to their own strengths now. Do they have any? Adds royal commentator Amanda Matter. It's clear that This One's Wife's career is moving forward with a sharper public profile, but they both know how to share the spotlight when it serves their shared goals. The second insider says This One's Wife has Harry's full support. He always thinks she's making the right moves, or presumably he goes, "Yes, I think you're making the right moves. Now will you stop squeezing my balls?" The first insider agrees that Harry's thrilled his wife has found something she can sink her teeth into, other than his pink pancakes. It's what she successfully did before him. No, it wasn't. She didn't do anything successfully before him. Indeed, Harry seems most at home when he's focused on his philanthropic causes. He thrives when he's working with charities, especially the military and kids, notes royal historian Marlene Koenig, and he has every reason to be proud of the Invictus Games' success. This is where he shines. The reality is, this is an extension of what he did as a working royal in a life he knows. And on it goes. I'm not going to subject you to the rest of the tedium, mainly because I don't want to be subjected to the rest of the tedium in relation to this very tedious woman. But she's at it again, utilising a supine publication for the purposes of yet another rebrand, although it's just something that we've seen before. They're now trying to tell us that they're not going to be seen as much together. Might that foreshadow the divorce? Who can say? But what it is doing is trying to tell us that she can be successful in her own right, and that because her and Harry aren't going to be doing joint things, it's because Harry's happier being in the background. He's happier doing the military stuff and the kids' things. In other words, Harry, that's what you're doing from now on. Stay over there. And this one's wife believes, yet again, showing the vacillation that we've seen before, that actually I'm going to forge a path on my own. Harry is actually holding me back. The only reason people know about her is because of Harry, and she hates that. She wants to be successful in her own right, but she's hampered by a number of things. She has no charisma, she has no talent, and she is significantly disliked around the world. Those three things are never going to change. She's not going to be able to develop charisma. She's not all of a sudden going to be able to find a talent at anything other than sucking golf balls through 40 feet of hosepipe. And she's never going to turn around her lack of popularity. It's too greatly entrenched. Nobody's going to suddenly say, do you know what? I didn't like her, but do you know what? She's rehabilitated her image. It just isn't going to happen because she's not prepared to even attempt to try and do it because she doesn't think there's anything wrong with her, the typical attitude of the narcissist. She believes the problem is all of you out there. So here we have her on the cover with an elongated puff piece, which is repositioning yet another fucking rebrand because she's at it again. And guess what? She'll fail again. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.